Hello everybody, welcome back to a video, and we are back for a new series I'm gonna try to start doing, and that is a track guide series on how to master each track in F124 and see where kind of how everybody is, if people are struggling at tracks, where they could find time, and see if you guys could learn from me. So we're starting this new series. Hope you guys enjoy it, trying something new, and hopefully it works out well. So as obviously, we'll start at the opener. We'll start at Bahrain, and we will go into an in-depth review where I found time, where you guys can find time, and how to master the Bahrain International Circuit. So we'll hop in, we'll do a slow lap, and then we will show y'all our push lap and setup. So here we go. Alrighty, so here we are as we're about to open a lap for the slow lap. So as you approach the start of your lap, you want to stay all the way to the left, and then you want to get a wide exit as you approach the start finish straight, and just like that, you get a good run exit, and you put foot flat to the floor, and that is how they start the lap. So weird thing in F124 is there's a lot of bumps actually in the racing line when you're on a qualifying lap. So what you want to do is you want to stay all the way to the right, basically to the pit wall, and you kind of want to be right where I am. You could kind of utilize that red part if you want to, but ultimately I just found it right here, and I gained around a good amount of time, usually around just a couple milliseconds. And you want to start to turn back on the racing line right around that Gulf Air brake marker, and as you approach now down into turn number 1, we go down. You want to start braking right before the 100-meter board, and late on the brakes, very heavy on the brakes. And then as you approach turn number 1, you want to just kind of attack the apex the best as you can. And what you want to do is you kind of want to turn the car right around there, and kind of where I'm positioned, you want to just attack it right around there. And it is a very tight to kind of get right. It just depends on how you want to attack it, and you kind of want to be on that white line, and that will kind of serve it. So what you don't want to do is attack it like this. It's just going to throw the car off on the exit, and you're just going to get so much oversteer, and you're probably going to be risking of spinning out. And it's just a very challenging type of corner because you want to attack it as brave as you can. And kind of going through here, you want to do it like that. If your car kind of hits the curb a little bit, it's alright, you could probably get away with it. So as you approach now into these couple of corners, very tricky. In a race scenario, you want to lift off on a qualifying lap. Basically, you want to foot flat to the floor about 90%, and you want to utilize all this curb on the exit, and you want to flick the car and use this curb as well when you're on it. And then in a race scenario, use this line right around here as you go uphill and you're approaching turn number 4, which you kind of have to prepare yourself for turn 4. You kind of want to go off track as you approach the entry, and right around here is where I start turning in, and you want to start braking right after the 150-meter board, around the 80 kind of, if you kind of picture it being an 80. Use all this curb on the entry, and then as you go in, tack it right around there. And this is a very tricky corner because there's a lot of bumps around this part of the corner in Bahrain. There's a big bump right around the middle of the racetrack on the exit. But as you attack it right, you want to go out very wide as much as you can, and you kind of want to utilize the exit and go right around here, and then attack this curb as much as you can. You're easily going to find around usually a tenth or a couple of milliseconds. And as we approach now down into this corner, the S is very tricky to kind of get right, and you want to start brake. You don't want to really brake, you kind of want to lift off, maybe a little touch on the brake, go down into 5th gear. I found 5th gear better than 6th gear, but you attack that first, and then you attack the right, and as you can see right around there, you kind of want to touch the curb a little bit. It kind of will maybe offset a car, it might offset the car just a little bit, but ultimately in a race scenario you'd want to maybe use that curb a little bit, but I would kind of try to stay off it when you're on a qualifying lap. And as you now approach, you want to focus now on the exit, and right here is the exit, and use this exit curb. It is very tricky to get right in a quali lap because you can sometimes risk an invalidation, but ultimately you want to do it like that. So here we go now, downhill, very tricky part because you're going downhill, easy to lock up. You want to brake at this dark blue, dark green type patch. You kind of want to utilize it like that as you approach down, and then use all this curb as you can as you approach this very tricky part. Very easy to lock up, and you want to take this into third gear. Don't go down into second. You're going to probably most likely spin out. So I would take that in third gear as you approach. Now, very tricky to kind of set the car up for this corner. You can easily kind of get a moment of oversteer, but I don't really use that much of the exit. Go like that, and as you approach now to the most difficult corner of this track, use this curb, and you want to brake right around here if you want to set it up right. This is a very tricky corner. It's downhill. Sometimes I kind of use a mix of trail braking while also cadence braking to kind of get it right. You could brake a little bit, maybe a little bit earlier. I kind of just braked a little bit early, so we'll kind of reverse here, and you could probably brake right around here if you kind of have the confidence in yourself. You could maybe even brake a lot earlier, but ultimately I just thought braking there was a lot easy. As you approach, kind of get on that curb as you turn in, and you want to bite that curb as much as you can. You kind of want to cut it. Bahrain's got very aggressive curbs, so you have to be very careful, but attack it like that. And as you approach now into this part, use all this exit, just use up the exit curb. You don't have to use all of it, but I kind of use it like that. And now you're on the racing line. This is obviously the preferred for the racing line strat. Now when you're on a qualifying lap, you'd probably will want to stay all the way to the right. You basically want to be half on track, half off track, and you kind of want to abuse the white lines the best as you can, and ultimately they'll just find you a lot of time. But in a race scenario, you want to position yourself slowly in the middle of the straight. You slowly want to get on this, and you want to attack this curb just like that. Use all this curb to open up the corner for a very simple and easy. So you kind of could brake right after the 50, but this corner, you want to kind of attack it, and if you attack it just right, you will easily find a lot of time. I'm sometimes on and off it, but ultimately I think I was a little bit off on my lap, but I found easily around 2/10. So as you kind of position the car, you don't want to attack it too much because you're easily going to be risk of spinning out, which I did quite a lot on my attempts. And as you do, utilize this exit, kind of play with that outside curb. I wouldn't really get on the curb, but you kind of just want to play with it, and you want to flick the car all the way to the left. Don't get on this curb right here, and you kind of want to go right on that sort of patch, I guess you could say, through there as you position for this long right-hander. And as you now approach the next entry, you want to use all this curb right here. You want to use all of it. You're kind of playing with the AstroTurf a little bit, but you want to stay on that curb. As you now turn in, go down into, I believe, fourth gear and attack this curb like that. Sometimes you can easily, I did a couple attempts, I accidentally just knocked the baller over. I cut it too much, but ultimately if you kind of cut it just like that, you will be just fine. As you want to position the car, utilize this exit as much as you can. I don't know how much I really utilize, but you're in a race scenario, you don't want to use all the exit. In my opinion, it's just going to make it horrible. As you're going downhill, use this racing line. You want to start positioning the car for the end of the lap, right around here. Kind of want to be, and you want to attack this curb, and you want to start braking right before the 50. We'll just kind of went after the 100-meter board. And use this curb, use this exit, approach it, and same scenario. Very tricky corner to get right. A lot of people tend to kind of hop that curb. I still technically do it, and it's not great, but use that curb, play with the white lines, and ultimately position yourself for the exit of the corner. You want to kind of use all the exit. Kind of want to play probably more with the white lines, but use all the exit, and then straight line it all the way down for the end of the lap of Bahrain. And that is how you kind of would want to master a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit. It is a very tricky track to kind of start off with, especially in this game with it being super unrealistic, but that is how I mastered it, and that is how you guys can easily find time. So we'll get into the setup now. You guys can use this setup. It will probably gain you a lot of time. So this setup, I liked 50-47 on the front wing. I did 50 for the rear. I did 47. You kind of want to use you want to use high downforce here. It just will help you out a lot better. Medium downforce, you're kind of twitching with the car, but if you use high, you can easily gain so much lap time. You will be slow on the straights, but it's just a lot better as you approach that middle part of the track where you're going to need downforce. That's what I did. And for the transmission now, I did 100, 30, 100, 30 on the off throttle, and 100% on the diff, on the adjustment, and also engine braking. Now for the suspension geometry, all the way to the left, that is kind of the meta. I feel like you put all the suspension all the way to the left, and that's where you gain kind of all the time. So here we go. Front suspension 41%, and then 1% soft on the rear. Very aggressive, but it just will overall help you. Roll bars are at 18-16, and ride height is 20-60, which I found overall a lot better. And overall, you could probably maybe decrease it a little bit more, but ultimately this is what I found comfortable with. As we approach the brakes now, it's 153. Brake bias is at 53. Brake pressure at 100% as always. And tire pressures is, you could kind of go all the way to the right if you wanted to, but I found 24.2, 24.2, and then 21.3 on the rear and the front right and left. That is what I found, what I think the setup was, and that's kind of where I personally found was best for me. But yeah, that is my setup, and that lap put us a 127.199, so that put us around close to the top 500. I could probably get into the 126s if I did a little bit more, but ultimately I couldn't find that much time, but I easily could probably find another 3/10 somewhere if I kind of get it right, and you can easily find all that lap time. So yeah, that is a lap, and I will now go through a fast lap, and that will be it for me. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to continue this series. If you guys would like to see more track guides, more setup guides, let me know. But after that, that's all for me, folks. Here is my fast lap and my attempt, and this is where and how you master the Bahrain International Circuit. Have a good rest of your day, everybody, and I will see y'all in the next one.